Hey everyone, welcome back to the On the Pegs podcast. I'm your host, Abigail Buzzelli, and this one's a little different. I got to sit down with three American riders fresh off of the 2026 Scottish Six Days trial. Nigel Parker, who's the most recent Ute Cup winner, and professional riders Alex Niederer and Josh Roper. We caught up just after the Colorado NATC National to talk about what it was really like to survive a week on the Scottish moors. We get into no-stop sections, the early mornings, the long miles, the mechanicals, the crashes, and the kind of camaraderie that carries a group through one of the oldest and toughest events in the sport. Let's get into it. We've all just been at the Colorado NATC National this past weekend, and they obliged me the opportunity to sit down and talk about their recent adventure at the Scottish Six-Day trial. Anyone who wants to start, can you tell me who was in your group and how many times you've done the Scottish Six-Day?
Go for it, Alex. It was my fourth go at the Scottish. Total group was Josh Roper, Nigel Parker, my brother Andy, Tom Fraser, and Richard Fraser. Those were all the riders. Nigel's parents were there along with his sisters to support us, as well as Tom's dad, John, and Tom's dad's cousin, Pete. They were our support crew this year.
Awesome. And was it anyone's first time?
It was my first time. First go at Scottish. It was fun. It was quite the experience. I had to just follow around the boys the whole weekend or the whole week, but it was a good time.
That was my second time doing it. I did in 2023 and then this year. So super cool experience with everyone.
Awesome. And why a couple of years off there? Is just time to recover from the brutality of the event?
Yes, pretty much. Yep. I don't know how Alex does it.
Alex, you're pretty well hooked at this point, would you say?
Yeah, I think addicted is the right word. I don't know. I guess enjoy punishing myself, but no, to me, it's one of those events that I just can't stop doing. I really, really enjoy it. It's a good time. I obviously do it with Tom every year, and yeah, no, we always seem to have a good week, regardless of what happens. And there's always a good story that comes out of it.
So, for our listeners who are unfamiliar, can you explain a little bit about the history and format of the event? Because it's very unlike any trial you would ride in the US.
So the event's been going on for over 100 years. I think it started something like 1915 or 1917 or something like that. The only times it didn't run was for World Wars, the outbreak of foot and mouth disease, and also COVID. Other than that, it's ran every year. Rider entry is limited to 288 riders every year. It's a different loop every day. It originally started with a start point in Edinburgh and then a different overnight spot every night. More recently, so in the last 20 or 30 years, and don't hold me to the specifics here, but it's been based out of Fort William, Scotland, where you start and finish in the same town every night. So it's recently been 28 sections a day. In the past, it's been 30 sections a day. Different loop, different sections every day. You never ride the same section twice. And the course every day will range somewhere between 60 and roughly 100 miles, where Saturday being the shortest, and then the other 5 days are somewhere between 80 and 100 miles. Some of it, I'd say probably about half of the distance is on the road, and the other half is somewhere split between gravel tracks or completely off road on the famous moors. It's a no-stop event. Of course, with no stop comes some controversy on what is a stop, what's not a stop, but ultimately it boils down to paying attention to how the observer observes that section, and then that's how you work with it. So I hope that gives us a little bit of an overview. Oh, and there's only one line. So every rider, ranging from world champions like Adam Raga to first timers, everybody rides the exact same section.
So, speaking of, there are kind of two events that are the most similar in the US, being the British America Cup and more famously the Ute Cup. And Nigel, you being the most recent winner of the Ute Cup. Obviously, this event is designed to be quite a bit more tough, and it has a much longer duration and format. What were your thoughts going from one to the other?
I knew U Cup was going to be a lot easier than 6 days, but it was a pretty big shock to my system once I got there how much harder 6 days was. makes U Cup look like a novice line compared to a pro line at 6 days. Just everything about it. U Cup, you do go high altitude in that, and it's somewhat long days, but 6 days, you're waking up fairly early. It's always cold outside. It's not warm. You're wet the whole day, more or less. And super tight time constraints and everything. Like, you have to keep moving the whole time. U Cup, you could bring some drinks with you if you had a good group. You could bring snacks, whatever you want. You can just have a good time. 6 days, you're fighting for every second pretty much. There's no rest really. Even at the lunch stop, you get 15 minutes at lunch stop, but by the time you get out of the queue to get your crappy hamburger and sports drink and a chocolate bar, you don't even get to finish your chocolate bar before they're calling your number up and you got to hit the road again.
Those are the best burgers ever, though.
By day 6 they are.
I think that's because we're so hungry and tired.
That's right.
So on
Yeah.
our last episode with Josh, we talked about some of the perils of the moors. Who had the best crash this year out of your group?
I think it'd have to be Andy. Every time we never really got to see many of his crashes. I saw one, the rear tire just slid out of him, like he got cross-threaded and he completely slid out on his butt the whole way down the entire moor. But every time we get to the group of sections, you'd say he just crashed about 3 times or went over the bars 3 times, and none of us were there to see it, sadly.
Yeah, my brother has a habit of having some pretty big crashes. They're usually pretty spectacular, but
Does it when no one's around.
yeah.
So one of the things I hear routinely from people who ride the Scottish 6-day regularly is that once you try it, you either are addicted like Alex and you're going to ride every Ute Cup you can get into, or that was a bucket list item and it's one and done. Josh, you've clearly come back for another round. Are you going to be on and off? Is this it for you? Are you wanting more of them?
I don't know. I'll just kind of have to wait and see what the future holds a little bit. But I mean, I'd like to go back and do it again and really try and get that top 30. I think I finished 31st this past year, and so I was just one place off. So that one's kind of haunting me a little bit. But I don't know. I need a little bit of time to recover and think about it. Andy and I, the year before, I texted him while Alex and everyone was over there doing it, and I was like, "Do you have FOMO?" And he said, "Yes, I have FOMO." And but I don't know. I'm sure the itch will come again or so, but we'll just wait and see.
How about you, Nigel? Are you in on the crossover hard enduro?
Yeah, I'm sure I'll do it again. I just need the funds to recover a bit first. It's a bit more expensive than anything I've honestly ever tried to do. I wasn't expecting to get in. I put in for my entry every year, but for some reason I never get in. I don't know if they just think I'm British because my name's Nigel, but for some reason I never get in, but finally got in. So I didn't quite save up for the trip, so I just had to take chunks out of my savings, which is okay because it's, like you said, it's a bucket list item. Got to do it. I'm sure I'll do it again. Just need some time to body and money to recover.
Understandable. For anyone interested in riding it in the future, what is the entry process like? How does one become eligible to ride this event? And then,
Well,
what are the logistics and costs like?
Well, in general, anyone can enter. Basically, from a level perspective, if you're a local expert, national upper support level rider or ES rider, you're going to have a pretty good time at it. Anything under that, of course, is eligible to enter, but you better be fit and willing to suffer to make it happen. Entry is pretty simple. You go online in October when the entry's open. You fill out the form, and at that point, it's a lottery on whether you get in. We usually find out right around Christmas of whether we got in or not. Then you've got 6 weeks or so to pay the entry fee, and once that's paid, you're officially in. As far as the entry fee goes, the entry fee itself's not, I mean, it sounds bad, but it's not that hateful when you start doing the math. You're looking at about, I think this past year was 750 British pounds, which equates to somewhere $950 to $1,000 for 6 days of riding. So it's very equal to riding a national weekend as far as the entry fee goes. That being said, the entry fee includes lunch every day. It includes fuel every day. Now, we did have to pay, I think it was another extra 30 or 35 pounds or something for a fuel surcharge due to the war with Iran that increased fuel costs so dramatically that some of it had to be covered by the riders, not just the organization, which, obviously is less than ideal, but understandable. And then as far as logistics goes, once you're entered coming from the States, the simple things are getting flights and accommodation and stuff like that, but then you need bikes. So obviously we rented bikes. Josh, my brother, and myself rented them from Beta UK. John Lankin does a really nice job with that. Nigel rented the bike from John Lee and Sons Gas. That seemed like a pretty easy process too. Price wise, I think they were pretty similar. Converted from pounds to dollars, you're probably looking at somewhere right around $2,500 for the bike. That does not include broken parts. It does include wear items like chain sprockets, brake pads, stuff like that. But any parts you need, like levers, shifters, brake pedals, tires, those are all additional. And then you need to sort out the Road Traffic Act insurance, basically insuring the bike to be legal on the road. You are required to have a full endorsement motorcycle license to ride the event. You also need to get an FIM license because we are U.S. riders. We need an FIM license for our repatriation. That insures us as far as medical insurance. And the AMA also releases us to ride the event. All said and done, depending on cost of accommodation, flights, stuff like that, there's a big group and you get an Airbnb and you can split the cost of the accommodation. It, of course, brings the price down. Realistically, the number to do it is somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000, depending on obviously some variables.
Okay. It sounds like there's a decent bit of paperwork, but the overall cost makes sense for that much riding and that much travel. Let's talk a little bit about how the event this year went. And I'd like to go day by day if you remember the specifics of which locations you went to each day. And start on day one.
My wife's sitting across from me, just giving me the look because I'm a nerd and I like Scotland. So Monday was our early day. Josh, you came out swinging pretty hard on Monday.
I came out swimming.
Yeah.
I was just trying to remember what days were what, because after you do 6 of them, they all kind of merge together. I can barely remember what section we rode this past weekend at the Colorado NATC.
Alex, remember it.
Yeah.
We'll have Alex do the talking.
Monday's a pretty hard day, or was this year anyway. And as much as a human, you're pretty wet most of the week. The sections this year were relatively dry. They were wetter than they were the year before, but they were still pretty dry. There's a couple of pretty big groups as far as steps on Monday, some really slippery ones, and quite a few spectator sections on Monday. The Monday of the Scottish 6 Days is a national holiday in England, not in Scotland. So a lot of people come up from England to be there for Sunday for the parade and watch on Monday and then drive home Monday night to go back to work Tuesday. So Monday was a pretty good day, which was our early day. So we went out about 8 o'clock in the morning. Tuesday was our late day. So it was the grippiest day. There's quite a bit of more work on Tuesday. I don't remember whether it was Tuesday or I think it was Tuesday. I had a massive crash. Oh, and had a flat tire. Yeah, it was Tuesday. I had a flat tire and a massive crash. So Tom and I ended up behind Nigel and Josh and my brother because we had to fix my front tire. And doing tubes out in the moors is not so great. So that's why
was the crash in the sections or was it on the loop?
Definitely on the moors. I was going too fast, got crossroaded, and had a massive crash. But Tom's brother ended up having to DNF on Tuesday for a wrist injury. Nigel, you had a pretty good day on Tuesday.
I did. I mean, I guess for me, I did. So Monday was the hardest day for me just because first ever Scottish 6 Day, and it was our early day. So just get thrown straight into it. Had nothing to go off of, just stories from Alex and Josh, but stories don't do anything till the wall's in front of you, and you're even watching videos. I don't know how many times we watched the same Scottish 6 Day videos, and I got to this group of sections, and I'd asked him if this was a new section. He said, "No, we watched it last night." I was like, "No, we didn't. This looks completely different." Everything is 10 times larger than it was on video, but it was good. I think my only almost crash was on Monday. I think, Josh, I went almost over the bars. I think the mud slowed me down just enough where I just about could have licked the mud, but then the rear wheel came back down, thank God. But Josh had to help me pull the bike out. I was fully stuck.
Was that the day you got stuck?
Yeah, I was fully stuck.
That was pretty awesome. That was funny.
James Bill came rolling right past me and just said, "Welcome, Scotland."
Yeah, DeBill was pretty close to us. I think he was one number behind Tom's brother. And then, yeah, there was Tuesday's a pretty tricky day, but
So-
not that many big bets.
More Tuesday question. So Nigel, you mentioned all of the footage you guys were watching ahead of time, and that Tuesday things started clicking. Were there any pieces of advice that you were given prior to the 6-day that you thought were more helpful? Like what stood out to you where when you saw it, you were like, oh, I get it now, or oh, this is what they were talking about, or anything like that?
You know, if I'm being honest, maybe for other people it'd be different, but for me, I really don't ride that often anymore. And even since pretty much 2019, I've been mining for Josh. So even since 19, I haven't been competing like competitively or professionally, any of that. So I really don't ride that much anymore. But Alex and Josh would tell me a lot of the sections they're riding first gear. That way you don't have to use the clutch too much. Then I'd try and do that. So I was struggling, I'd just be spinning everywhere. But then I'd be spinning in first, so I'd go back to second, and I'd have some good rides in second, some good rides in first. And, some of those guys, they don't use the clutch at all. Like the way they ride those creeks and no stop, the way they can flow through them. And, I'm from Colorado. We don't have creeks really there. If we do, we can't ride in them. Now I'm living in California, and there's definitely no creeks in Southern California. We just have the coolest grippy rocks ever. So I don't know. For me, I think I would have liked to do a little bit more training fitness wise. And I honestly don't think more riding for me would have helped me really. Living in California, there's just that style of riding didn't help me at all. If anything, it might have hurt me more because I thought I was more confident, like hopping around and stuff. But then once it got so slippery, I had zero confidence of being able to move the bike at all. Like even just a slight left turn, I would just keep going straight.
Makes sense. Josh, having, we talked a lot about the transition from West Coast living to East Coast living in terms of riding style. Is that one of the things between the last time you rode the Scottish and this time that helped?
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Pretty nice being here on the East Coast. I've got a little bit of a creek here that I can practice at the house and ride and everything. So that was kind of, but I mean, the creeks here in the States, I mean, you got to go to Dennis Sweden's house if you want to find the most similar Scottish 6-day creek, but none of them kind of really compared to what you're actually going to be riding over there in Scotland. But just getting used to just being on the East Coast and not a whole lot of traction out here, just having that kind of in the back of your mind, knowing, hey, I'm used to riding slippery rocks and so forth, and so that was a little bit more confidence inspiring going into it. The other crazy thing is that, on our early day, there's maybe I don't know what, Alex, maybe 30 or 40 riders in front of us.
Yeah,
and everyone rides the same. Everyone rides the same line. And if you're an early rider, then I mean, it's going to be really slippery. But by the time you get to, our Tuesday, our late day, after 200 plus riders have already gone through the same section, the line gets scrubbed in a little bit, and all that slippery kind of moss on the rocks actually go away, and you actually have a lot of grip on the rocks. Like Tuesday, we had Witch's Burn, which is like a huge wall. I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 feet high wall that you got to ride up. And when I did it in 23, it was one of our early days, and it had like no traction. But this year, when we did it on our late day on Tuesday, we had tons of traction on it. So you're pretty much able to ride right up it. So so it's nice that the lines do get burned in a little bit if you have your late day, on on the bigger rocks.
That is nice. So I think we're through day 2 now. What was day 3 like?
Day 3 is a pretty tough day as far as not necessarily the sections. The sections aren't much easier than they were before, but I think the hardest part on day 3 is part of the loop we did. There's an awful long piece of single track that just beats you.
It's at the downhill.
Well, we came along that single track, really long downhill, and then we finished along that lake. And it's really rough. The single track itself's really muddy. You can't really see the rocks, and you're just beating your wrists and your knees and your back. So I think that's probably one of the hardest parts about Wednesday. It's got a couple iconic sections like Pipeline. Me and Pipeline don't get along real well. Josh, I think you cleaned it. No?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So I've cleaned Pipeline as many times as I fived it. So
What makes that
yeah, me
section
and
so
Pipeline.
tricky?
Well, there's two sections. The bottom one is pretty simple as long as you keep your weight on the pegs. The top one is the hard one. The top one's got this humongous gully that leads into this rock face, and it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. And there's a rock right in the run-in through the gully, and I have a tendency to snag my toes or foot peg on the rock, and it stops all your momentum. And at that point, that's pretty much game over.
I think Pipeline, I would have been better off just riding as the loop.
Yeah.
Like if I shouldn't have stopped and walked it, I think I would have been better off just going.
Speaking of, do you primarily make the choices on which sections to walk based on how ahead or behind you are there certain sections where you know that you're going to just go in and ride?
You walk every section.
All of us walked every section except Andy. There was a few Andy did not walk, and they ended up being some of the harder sections, and he would clean them.
Yeah.
Didn't look at it at all.
Josh and I definitely walked every section, as did Tom. Part of it is obviously you have your backpack, and most of the time you have to carry your backpack to the top because the loop continues from there. Some of them you come back down to the trail where the sections started and you can leave your backpack at the bottom, but I'm not a fan of riding sections with the backpack on. So yeah, you walk a lot of sections. And that's part of your time management also, at 28 sections, if you walk every section, you look at every section for 2 minutes, that's 56 minutes of your total time gone just walking sections. So you've got to make that up somewhere. So the faster you are at walking the sections, the more time you've got between the sections. So people that don't walk the sections or just briefly walk the sections have a little bit of an advantage in the moors. Now, people that are faster on the loop can spend more time walking the sections because, well, ultimately you've got this much time, you might as well use it all. But time management also comes into bike maintenance. Any time you've got left at the end of the day, you can use for bike maintenance. If you've got no time left at the end of the day, then your bike goes to Park Ferme with the way it is, and you pick it up the next day nice and dirty.
So did you guys get to wash your bikes most days or work on them most days?
There's no bike washing. The only thing you can do is just they give you like a little brush and stuff to scrape off mud from certain spots if you want, but you don't need to worry about how pretty the bike is the next day. It's going to get destroyed within the first 10 minutes again. So just have to overlook that part. For me, on the gas, I didn't actually really end up having to I didn't do anything to the bike the whole weekend. I changed an air filter one day. This is because we had, I think, an hour and a half because we rode way super quick. I think maybe Wednesday on our road race day. But I didn't need to. I just did it because I felt like I should have. But in the end, I probably shouldn't have because I got charged like $40 for the air filter. So should have just pushed it to Park from me and called it a day.
But yeah, other than that, yeah, you're not actually allowed to wash bikes in the pits. Obviously they don't want all the muddy water. The pits are actually right next to what they call a lock, and it's basically an inlet from the ocean, so it's salt water. So they don't want all that runoff going into the ocean and stuff like that. So you just use the air hose to blow off as much mud as you can and tighten all nuts and bolts and make sure everything's good. I know Josh and I changed the tire on Wednesday night. I know I changed the oil Wednesday night. I think you did too, Josh, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I pretty much. Whenever I did the Scottish 6-day, we just try and follow.
After Wednesday, you're halfway through the week. Then Thursday's what we all call road race day. You spend most of the day going down the paved road.
Hated that day.
Yeah, so Thursday is one of those days, and the organizer said something that I can't repeat due to listeners' ears, but it was quite funny where the gist of it was that because the loop itself's real easy on Thursday, the sections need to be hard. But he used different words. It was quite funny. But yeah, Thursday the sections are are really tough, but the day itself is a little more mellow because you're on the paved road most of the time. The more bits you do are pretty rough, but I personally don't like the road very much. I think it's rough on the bike, and
I prefer the moors way over the road.
It's
Charles bikes
I
are not
prefer
meant
the
to go down.
road.
Is it that they're
Charles bikes are not
twitchy at
meant to go
fast
down the road.
speeds? What speed are you guys cooking at down the road?
I think it said
35.
I think the
40.
fastest I saw was 38 going through town. I was supposed to be doing 30, so it gave me the little flash. I was like, whoops. But going 38, the bike just sounds like it's going to explode. Sounds like the piston and crank are about to hit you in the cross, shoot up through the bike. It's, but going through the moors, like if you can find a somewhat of a flow going through the moors, like the good guys like Dibs and those guys, you can just, I don't know, kind of have fun with it a bit more. But we also got lucky the moors weren't that wet this year. There's wet spots for sure, but compared to previous years, you could actually ride the moors for the most part.
Yeah, it was pretty dry this year as far as the moors goes, which was kind of surprising based on how much rain the UK got leading up to the event. But yeah, it's going down the road, as Nigel said, it's kind of the mechanical sympathy thing. If you've got no mechanical sympathy, you can go faster. If you care about your bike and want to make sure it goes to the end, 35 is about the sweet spot. And when you've got cars coming past you at 60, 70 mile an hour, it's not really that fun, but it's part of the event.
I think dream bike for the 6 days, if you're not too worried about result, you just want to go for a good experience, just get them on Tessa. You could just click the thing in 5th gear, hit on the rev limiter the whole way down the road. Probably don't have to ever work on the bike throughout the week. You don't have to change oil, anything, and you're not going to ever drown it or anything. You just don't have to worry about the bike at all on the road or any of that. Any two-stroke, you need to be you got to take care of it a lot on the road for sure, and the loop.
Yeah, I could see a 4-stroke being a pretty ideal bike to ride the 6-day on.
Yeah, anytime
Especially
we're
with
on the
the
road,
torque.
we could be sitting down cruising 35 something, and some idiot, I guess I shouldn't say idiot, but he'd fly past us going like 50 miles an hour on the 4-stroke, just on the rev limiter. I'm like, dang, I wish I was him right now.
Is the
I
time the
honestly, I
same for
thought,
each day? Like, did you guys have a decent amount of time on the road race day? It sounded like it, right?
Time limit's different each day. It's usually somewhere between 6.5 and 7.5 hours plus 15 for lunch. I don't remember.
Our only day we had no time was our first day on Monday.
Early days always that way because you're breaking trail, having to look for the markers.
I think we only had 3 minutes left when we got to Park Ferme. Every other day, I think we had 45 minutes, so an hour every day. I'd barely look at the sections. I would literally just I'd look to see what direction the section went. Anything else wasn't going to help me, so I'll just get on my bike.
And sorry, I think I cut you off, Josh. What were you going to say?
that's all good. I was just gonna say, I think Thursday was at least in my opinion, I thought Thursday was the hardest day, section wise.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
road wise it was easy, but the sections I think they were the most challenging. I think we had I think our highest points day was on Thursday. At least mine was, and I even broke a lever too on Thursday too. But
Yeah.
and I think they were pretty slippery on Thursday too, which made it a whole lot harder.
They're super technical on Thursday.
Yeah, they were.
Thursday, I think there was one section. It was pretty much, unless you're a Harry Hemingway, it was a full stop and hop section for all of us. So the observers were being very lenient on the stops for everyone, but there were a couple of the really good guys who could make it ride like a creek. But for us mortals, we just had to lift the bike through the whole thing, and even then, after lifting it, they'd call you on a 5 more or less, because at some point you had to stop to put both feet down to lift the bike. So in the end, I should have just fired it at the beginning or something, but had to try.
Was it a lot of turns in those sections through the creek, or what made it so technically tricky?
I think that one was that section in specific was really just dead straight, but it had so many steps and it was so slippery.
There were a lot of holes in it.
A lot of holes, and I think there was one turn at the end that was, I don't know, for me was truly impossible for me to ever clean it, even get a 1 on it. It was so slippery. But all the other ones were just such tight turns and just so many chicanes, like in the creek, and just so hard to, if you were flowing through it good, it was good. But the moment you get stopped once, you're going to screw the whole section up from there. Even if you took a point 2 feet into the section, which I would usually, from there, you can't recover it all. And you're just paddling from there.
Just a series of saves.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Thursday for sure, the hardest section.
Very cool. What is the atmosphere in the group at that point in the week? Like, how's everyone feeling when they wake up Thursday morning?
Really sore. Very sore. Everyone's popping Advils and Aleve and whatever else. We're slowly, every morning kept getting slower and slower to make breakfast in the mornings. But then once we were going, we'd be having a good time. You know, someone would have a crash or something in the section. We're all laughing about it. And early on in the week, I think I forgot that I wasn't a trials rider, so I started expecting a bit more from myself. But then once I remembered while I was there, just to have fun and it's just you're there for the experience and you take the pressure off. You just have to have fun with everything. If you crash or whatever, you just have to laugh off. So you're just there for a good time.
How long did it take everyone to brush off the cold each day? Because I'm sure once you're cold and wet, there's a moment where you have to really think about the fun that you're out there having.
I think there was only one day when we got back where it was really cold, changing on the back patio. The other days, we'd get so lucky with weather that the sun would come out immediately. We'd take all our gear off. Josh would always, in the morning, he laid his clothes out on the bed. That way he could get undressed on the back patio and immediately just run to the shower. So before Alex and I even have boots off, Josh is already in the shower.
I was not messing around. After being in gear all day and wet and cold, I was like, I'm gonna shower, take a hot shower, and I'm laying in bed.
So Josh was the first to bed each night.
Yeah, going to bed's not usually an issue at that point. Most of us go to bed pretty quickly. Tom and I have obviously done it a fair number of times now, so we had a good idea of what each day was going to bring and what we were getting into and how long the day was going to be. And so we had a pretty good expectation of how the day was going to go in the morning. So that kind of, I guess, was different for Tom and I versus Nigel, Andy, and Josh.
At least Andy and Josh have done it before. I just be getting little snippets of stories from the previous years, and I truly had no idea what I was getting myself into. Every single section I'd get to was just a complete surprise. And some sections they'd say weren't that bad, I'd get to it. I'm like, well, that's actually pretty bad. I don't like that. Then, yeah, it was just when you have no idea what to expect, you just have to. You can't do anything about it, so you just have to. And you have to attempt every section too, which was for me maybe the hardest part. I don't ride trials that often anymore, like I said. So all those big steps in that were so hard for me to commit to, but I knew I was there just for the experience and it wasn't my bike. So I just said, oh, well.
It sounds like pushing yourself to try everything ended up being worth it throughout the week. And, do you feel like riding trials more now that you've pushed yourself in it recently?
Well, it's actually pretty funny. This weekend in Colorado was actually my first time riding any motorcycle, even a trials bike, since 6 days. That's not because of 6 days. I just have been so busy. I don't know if that necessarily pushed me. I haven't ridden competitively in so long. For me, I just like having fun on a bike. I just want to go out with the boys or whoever and just go practice, and not even necessarily practice, but just go have fun. Just go out to Wanger's World, our local spot in California, and just ride around, hit a few walls, spend most of the time just talking, spend some time riding, just have fun.
So I think that brings us to Friday.
Friday is the longest day of the week, or has been all the years I've done it. Most mileage, same amount of time given as some of the other days, but the most mileage, some really hard more work, some ugly single track, quite a bit of road. It's a really long day.
Friday was long.
Friday's a really long day. It's a lot of hard work. There's some really difficult sections. There's some easy ones too. I personally had an absolute disaster of a day on Friday. I could not ride an easy section to save my life. Stalled the bike on flat ground. Josh, you had an absolute banger of a day on Friday, if I remember right.
Yeah, Alex and I kind of swapped days like that. Yeah, Friday was actually, I think it was a really good day for me. And then Alex, he didn't. I saw some of the rides Alex was doing, and I was like, Alex can do better than this. I know it.
There was always someone in the group having a good day at a time, so that's helpful at least.
Yeah. But yeah, Friday's a really long day. It was funny when we were driving up on Saturday morning or Friday night or whenever we drove up to Fort William, I showed the guys where our lunch stop was going to be on Friday, and it's almost an hour in the car from the lunch stop spot to Fort William at 60 mile an hour.
Jeez.
It takes you about 3.5, 4 hours to get to the lunch stop on the bike after you've done all the off-road and road and sections and everything. So it's a long ways from where your bed is, and once you get there, you know that you've got to go all the way back.
Friday, what's the atmosphere in the group like? At this point, I'm sure you guys are kind of paired off. I know that you can't really ride as a large group together at this event. So who's riding with who at this point in the week?
I feel like it always ended up being Alex and Tom always rode together, and then me, Andy, and Josh usually we were right next to each other most of the time. At some points, it'd just be randomly I'd be alone, and then maybe Josh would be alone just for maybe a couple miles or whatever. But definitely I feel like near the end of the day, the morale was maybe a little low.
Was pretty upset.
Alex was upset just because he had a bad day, but everyone was very tired because I want to say we didn't get back to the Park Ferme till what, like 7?
We didn't get back to the house till 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah. So we're not getting off the motorcycle till like 7 p.m. And I remember looking at my watch. We still had another group of sections and seeing like, I don't know, 6:30 or something. Like, there's no way I'm still riding my motorcycle at 6:30 p.m. Like, I'm starving. Lunch was super early that day too, if I remember right. So after lunch, we still had another 4 or 5 hours or something like that of riding. Alex told me
Oh my
that, and I was like,
gosh.
no, there's a way. Alex has to be wrong, but he was not wrong.
How many hours in total was that day?
I think the longest day was 7:45 plus 15, I think.
That's
But
quite a lot of riding.
yeah,
And that in that whole time, there's, like I said, there's no breaks or anything. Your only break is a quick 15-minute lunch stop. But since there's so many other riders in front of you at that point in the week, there's usually, I don't know, at least 5 or 10 guys in front of you to go get your delicious hamburger or pasta with mayonnaise on it. So by the time you actually get your food, sit down, you have to just eat as much as you can in pretty much 5 minutes. Then you're making sure your bike's all good and then just hopping up, going again. It's brutal.
So Friday ends after a very long day on the bikes. How are we feeling Saturday morning for the last day?
So stiff. For me, the biggest thing that was stiff was my wrists were so sore. My back was pretty sore, but it was mainly like my wrists and just joints I was feeling it for sure.
Were you mostly beat
Yeah,
up from the moors?
Yeah, for sure. It was mainly the moors, yes, but like I said, you could kind of find a flow at times in the moors. The biggest thing that was brutal is I forget what day it was, but we had like a almost hour-long bumpy downhill. Like, I don't know, I can't even really think distance-wise, but it was either an hour or just over an hour of steep downhill. So you have this huge backpack now that's pretty much on top of your head by the time you get down. It was Friday. Yeah, that just killed me. Your shoulders, everything, so hard on your body, and just did not let up. You couldn't stop because it's such a steep downhill. It's muddy, it's rocky, so you're almost getting front flats everywhere, and then you start sliding. You can't control it. It's not fun.
How about you, Josh? How was Saturday morning?
Saturday morning, I think Friday morning was the worst for me because I knew Friday was going to be a long day. And then finally got that over and then woke up Saturday morning and you're like, oh yes, you get like a second wind and you're like, man, this is the last day. It's a short day. I'm ready to get this done and over with. But Saturday was I mean, I don't know who was operating the motorcycle that day, but it wasn't me. I had such a bad day on Saturday.
No.
Um yeah, it started out really rough, and I just could not find a groove there. And I think I was just tired, and I mean, you're just so fatigued after a whole week of riding there. So, I mean, I was like ready to be done, but then I got like halfway through, and I was like, man, I just need to sit back and just whatever happens, happens. And it was like, like I said, a short day there. And I think the other thing is me and Gerondo from Norway, him and we were going back and forth the whole entire day. And we were super close to each other. And I know I needed to do good on Saturday to reach the top 30 to meet my goal. And I think I put too much pressure on myself. and it turned out to be a terrible day. But I mean, overall, I mean, it was. I still got to ride ride in the Highlands of Scotland with the boys, so it was all good though.
Saturday was a really hard day too. Our early day was Monday, and for me, I feel like was bad because that meant Saturday we were also really early as well. We weren't the earliest, but we were very early. And pretty much every single section was just a huge, long slab, no bumps or anything in them. So once you started sliding, it was like a full ice rink. So
Ooh.
we all but Alex struggled so bad on Saturday. Just there was zero grip. I feel like that for me, that was the hardest day of the week, riding wise sections. It wasn't technical. It was just if you spun out just a teeny bit somewhere, it was immediate 5.
Yeah, just to give some context, Friday, I just looked it up. Our running time, we had 8 hours and 32 minutes from picking up our motorcycle to dropping off our motorcycle again at night. So yeah, 8.5 hours basically total
Oh,
time.
geez.
Saturday morning, I don't know. Saturday morning for me is always kind of a weird one because you're excited that you're that close to the finish, but then for me it's always like, bummer, it's already over. Um,
You've got to wait a whole
I
nother
guess
year.
yeah, exactly. I guess again that comes from me being just like addicted to the event. But I was pretty angry because I had such a terrible day on Friday. And then as Nigel and Josh pointed out, we were again pretty early on Saturday
Mhm.
morning. We were in the second group that went out, and I knew what the sections were on Saturday because they were identical to the year before. And there was, as Nigel pointed out, some pretty big walls and some pretty slippery sections with long, long slabs. And when you're that early in the group, the line's pretty narrow that you have to ride because only a few motorcycles may have made it actually out of the ends cards of the section. Got about halfway through Saturday and I was only on a handful of points. Things kind of fell apart a little bit later in the day on some of the looser sections that didn't have quite as much water running through them. They were just really unpredictable, and I just couldn't, I guess, stand on it quite right. But all in all, Saturday for me was a really, really good day. Actually, first time I'd beaten Josh in a day of trials in a very, very long time, so I was pretty happy about that.
I was happy for him. I mean, we pretty much just swapped days. My Friday, and his Friday, you know, I had a really good day Friday. He had a bad day Friday, and then I had a really bad day Saturday, and he had a good day Friday. So, but I mean, overall, at the end of it, I mean, I was happy for him. Of course, we're just there to
Absolutely.
have some fun, and
And you guys ride together
so
so
yeah,
well.
all
It's
good.
been really cool getting to see you guys enjoy the nationals together this year, and get to see each other push yourselves and do the best that you can.
Yeah, it's been nothing but a great time.
And don't get me wrong, Josh mopped the floor with me for the week. So he finished 31st. I think I was 55th or 56th, something like that.
You just got that second win at the very end of the week.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was too little, too late. I pretty much would have had to gone around on clean on Saturday to do anything to get to the top 50. But top 50's been the goal every year I've done it. I've gotten closer year after year after year, but I'm not quite there yet. So I guess we'll just have to keep going. Nigel, you finished.
I think I finished 135th or something like that, all said and done once people got penalties and stuff like that. For me, I didn't really I truly just wanted to finish. I had zero goal and I had nothing to go off of or anything. I didn't know what to expect. I thought I was going to be in like the 200s or something like that. I think after the first day, I was like 180th or something like that. I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be a long week. And then Tuesday was our grippiest day, and like Alex said, it's so grippy. I felt like a hero out there. The lines I was doing, I was like, yeah, here we go. And then Wednesday comes around, it's slippery again, and you're back to being humbled in every section. But I did get better throughout the week, even though I didn't feel like it. But I think I just fell short of whatever's called the first class finisher award or something like that, which is top 130.
Yeah, you were 134. My brother was 123. Tom was 111. I was 57th. And Josh, you were 31st.
I think there was 1 or 2 days I beat Tom on the days, which I was pretty happy about because Tom, that's all he rides and all that. But Tom did beat me. I got him in the Minder trial last year, but he got me in 6 days, so that's fair.
It's nice to have someone to to trade with where you know about how they ride.
Yeah, for sure. I thought I was going to be the lone soldier in the back. Everyone just carrying me around the whole week, but I was happy I wasn't just useless out there.
It was pretty funny actually because Nigel and my brother were really close all week on scores, and they would trade blows. One day it'd be one day it'd be other.
I think we're every day of the week we're less than 5 points away from each other.
That was pretty cool to watch.
It's awesome. And I'm sure, were you guys picking similar lines? Like, do you have a similar riding style?
You don't have a choice. Everybody rides the same.
There was one of the days, I think Wednesday or Thursday, I started taking a few different lines at the start of the sections. That actually helped me because I'd see where they would be starting, and I'm like, why would you start there? You're like immediately doing a left corner. So I'd move to a different spot. And most of the time it worked out for me at the start of the section, but for the most part, you have to follow the same line as everyone. If you get 2 feet off any given line at any section, you will crash and just slip and be on your butt immediately. It's crazy. They told me that. I didn't believe it was true. Like, it's hard to believe it's that slippery and like you know, like that, but it's truly, if you get just tired width off the line, you won't make it up anything.
And I'm sure being no stop really limits the options on that as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I've never ridden no stop before either. I barely ride trials events anymore, so then to make it no stop too was so hard for me. So I think a lot of time for me, all my points came from just pure panic, just because I've never ridden no stop before. I don't want to get a 5, but I probably could have fought for a 1, 2, or whatever. But the moment I put 1 foot down, I'll just panic and I just want to get it out of the section for a 3. So I think Tuesday or Wednesday, I think not every section, but a good majority of the sections, I just had so many 3s where I probably could have saved it for a 1 or a 2, but just for the inexperience of never riding no stop, I just panic and just paddle it out. Just ride like
I'm sure that's
full hard enduro.
easy to do, because I'm sure some of those items it's like, well, up is up, let's get it out of here.
Yeah. After doing that, I minded for Josh, Alex, people like that riding no stop events, but you gain a lot more respect for the stuff they used to do at world championships with no stop. The level of patience you have to have in those sections is incredible. And watching the good British, Scottish riders, and even Raga and those guys, the calmness and patience they have in those creeks it's incredible. Like, everyone has balance in trials, but the way they can maneuver the motorcycle and barely move through these creeks without spinning it's incredible.
Speaking of, in terms of practicing for this event, obviously riding creeks is going to be the best practice available, and practicing no stop. Are there certain techniques or skills that are at a higher premium than other skills when you're riding the event?
Learn how to floater. Get Dennis Sweeten's number. Go do a week-long riding school with Dennis Sweeten at his house, and you'll be ready.
Yeah, I think Nigel nailed it there. It's you want to basically just ride off the foot pegs. Hopping's helpful, but not gonna change the world. You don't really have to splatter anything. Pretty much everything's some kind of ride up in some way, shape, or form. The occasional zap can help, but again, not going to change the world. I think most of it is fitness and bike time. If you spend a lot of time on the bike and the bike doesn't wear you out and you're physically fit, you're going to have a pretty good go at it. If you just go over there with the mindset of, oh, I'm just going to see how it goes, then it's probably going to hurt you.
You truly just need good basics, but then I feel like I have some skills on the bike, but those didn't really help me too much. We rode next to one guy, I think his name was Woody.
Mm-hmm.
Muddy. Yeah. He could barely walk the sections. It looked like he had bad knees or something. And then I'd watch him ride these sections, and I would go first sometimes. And, I'm trying to rev it a bunch or really overemphasizing with my body and everything. And I'm barely making it. I watched this guy. He's just off idle, barely revving the bike, sometimes barely moving in the creeks, and he cleans it. And I just got like a 5 or something. So it's truly just experience. You just don't expect to set the world on fire your first year you go there. Just know you're gonna struggle. Just embrace it. You're not gonna be in the top, whatever. Just go have fun. Embrace the struggle.
Certainly. And so, going from least experienced to most experienced, Nigel, do you have a favorite section or area from the event?
Josh, what was the day you broke your levers? Or broke your lever?
That was Thursday.
I quite liked those sections. They're super technical and just with how hard and technical they were, if you were to get a clean or 1 or 2 or whatever on them, they felt so rewarding to get a somewhat good ride because you knew what you just rode through and somewhat cleaned or whatever, and you felt like Tony Bo out there. There was one section they took me to our first day in Scotland when we went and watched the pre-65 riders. I forget the name of the section.
Gray Mare's Tail.
Gray Mare's Tail. That one I was so scared of. It was in this little gully thing, and then you come around a right-hand corner, dropping in this huge hole, and you just have it's honestly like an 8-foot wall right in front of you, and you're in a water hole coming out of it. There's so many people watching you up above there. It's almost like bleachers. And that one I was so nervous about. I literally was thinking about that the entire time leading up to it, just because that was the only section I got to go see in person before we started the event. And I actually cleaned that one, which I was really happy about. I think George Hemingway even took a point or something in there. George and a couple other good riders did, but everything there goes up easier. If you just don't think about it, it goes up well. But yeah, I think Thursday the sections had to be my favorite. Just nothing was that dangerous or scary. It was just so technical, and you had to work for everything. And it was just fun picking everything apart.
Awesome. Josh, how about you?
Alex was the Gray Mare's Tail, and that's on Tuesday, right?
Gray Mare's Tail is on Wednesday, and then right after is Pipeline.
Which day is Witch's Burn? Is that Tuesday?
Witches was first section Tuesday.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed Tuesday's group of sections this year. I thought they were pretty flowy. Yeah, I
Nice.
like
Is
the
it
ones that,
just
you can just kind of flow through the creeks a little bit and, pull a couple floaters every now and then. And I don't know, I think I enjoyed Tuesdays the most.
awesome? And Alex?
Oh, well, I've got sections I like on every day and sections I dislike on every day. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Cameron Hill on Monday. I like that. Tuesday, Witches is obviously fun because there's a lot of spectators there, but it's not that crazy of a section. I mean, it's all about one wall. The second section in there was kind of neat. I had never done that one. Wednesday, Gray Mares is good. I can't stand Pipeline. There's a couple other good sections on Wednesday later in the loop. Thursday, yeah, I'm with Nigel. Thursday is probably a really cool day for sections. Lock Shield A and B, those are pretty early in the day. Those are really, really cool sections. If you're on it, you can really make up some good points. Friday's got some cool sections with first hit at the end. First hit's pretty hard and deep water. And then Saturday, I guess for me, Saturday is probably the day I enjoy the most from a section perspective because I like just about all the sections there. And then comes, of course, the big pressure cooker, the very last section in the middle of town. Don't screw up in front of all the people in the last section.
That section's so nerve-wracking. There's so many people there watching, and they're so close to you. The actual section is, if you were to put your Charles bike sideways, I don't think it would even fit to where the railing is. It's, a teeny little Scottish just sidewalk or stairs or whatever. But right next to it's just, they don't weed eat it or anything. So if you're the first riders through, you got this super tall grass, and under that grass is all mud. Luckily, quite a few bikes had been through by the time we got there, so the grass had been beat down, but it was pretty slippery up top. But it's just, you can either jump at the beginning or try and roll through everything. And for me, I'm just there for fun. My day,
I think most of us jumped the entrance.
yeah, we're just there to end on a good note. So we all just launched the big jump at the beginning and then just hold on for dear life and ride the next, I think it's like 10 steps in a row or something like that. Yeah, that one's cool. I think the only person sadly who didn't clean it was Tom. I think he got a 3 or something. That was a bummer, but Tom still rode so good the whole week. But that's a cool one to end on just because you're in the town. You get to wait for your buddies at the top and then just cruise through the town back where you did the parade back in the Park Perme, finish your week.
Crack open a cold beer.
It's got to be one of the best tasting beers in the sport at the end of that trial.
Yeah, I think I'd almost like to carry some road beers with me for the event. I think that'd be quite fun too.
Might help the nerves a little bit, especially that first day.
Yeah. And also Section wise, for me, I was gonna say as well, there's so many videos and everything, YouTube videos of 6 days, but for me, the coolest sections were all the ones you've never seen in YouTube videos, not just because you haven't seen them, but up in the moors, the sections and creeks that
They're very different.
no one, if you're not riding the event, you get to see there. All those sections were incredible. Like the views, the crazy looking creek is just in the middle of this massive grass mountain that you'd never expect it. So for me, those were the coolest sections, the ones no one gets to see unless you're riding the event. And I feel like everyone probably thinks the same. Like once you're up in those moors, it's just the views, everything just kind of hits you how cool the experience is, what you're doing. Yeah. And there's so many throughout the week. I guess that is kind of not summertime, but most people are usually taking holidays off from that. But that's a huge place for hiking as well. So I think on our first day and our last day, we probably went past at least 300 to 500 hikers all on the trail.
Wow.
They've all been hiking all the different mountains, Ben Nevis, Glen Nevis, all that stuff. The amount of active people there is pretty cool to see. Scotland's a very beautiful place.
That's amazing. Any other things that audience should know? I guess the closest U.S. event would probably be the British America Cup, right?
I'd say the British America Cup. I rode that one 3 years ago. And I know since then, Adrian and Mandy have upped it quite a bit. I know it's a 3-day now. And the creeks they're actually fairly similar to some of the creeks in Scotland. More similar to, like, I'd say Saturday creeks at Scotland. So I'd say if you're doing 6 days, go ride the British America Cup just so you can feel a little more prepared. Definitely, you still won't be fully prepared, but that is the closest thing we have to the U.S. and which is pretty cool. Adrian and Mandy have an area and landowner that's willing to provide us to ride there. And I think the other place, some of the creeks were similar, was Northern California National. We had
Shad Ranch.
Shad Ranch. Some of those creeks are very similar as well, and slipperiness as well.
Very cool. Hopefully the NATC will be back there in a coming year. That was a very cool venue. Awesome.
Mhm.
Any other closing notes or things that you'd like the listeners to know about the Scottish 6-day?
Not that I can think of. I think we pretty much covered it.
Get ready
Awesome.
for a supper fest if you go.
Like I said, just
But it's worth
embrace
it.
the supper. Don't have high expectations. Just for me, it worked out well because I had very low expectations. So maybe that's why I was in a better mood the whole week because I was expecting myself not even to finish.
And you were in such a positive group too. I think the
Yeah,
group you were
for sure.
riding with was amazing.
Sure, it's hard not to have a good time when maybe I have a frown and then all of a sudden Andy comes sliding past me 35 miles an hour on his butt across the moors. I'm immediately laughing.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for sitting down with me today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the On the Pegs podcast, brought to you by On the Pegs magazine. Show notes and links from this episode are at on-the-pegs.com, and you can follow Alex and Josh through the rest of their season from there. If you liked this one, hit the follow button so you don't miss the next episode, and we'll catch you next time on the On the Pegs podcast.